And as you can see, there is an NFC symbol and the bus station. Touch the tag with your mobile phone and it gives you the information of the next buses which will depart from this station. For instance, let's see, choose Mozart's birthplace on this map. And what you basically do is you just come with your mobile phone, you touch it, and it opens a website on your mobile phone, and it provides you with the necessary information about the point of interest.
I came here to talk about the dissertation that I did during my bachelor degree in Lyon, which talks about Paris destination image from the point of view of Asian students. So I just want to give you like a kind of context, the context in which I wrote this dissertation. I was born in Paris, and after high school I moved to Switzerland, to Lyon, and it's only so I can say that I was a real Parisian girl. And it's when I came back to Paris during weekends and holidays that I realized that Parisian people were strange. So in Switzerland, I used to feel really safe. And when I came back in Paris, I felt this weird atmosphere that people are talking about, but that I didn't feel before. I don't know if you have heard about the recent articles in the newspapers about Paris, about the way that Parisians act, about the atmosphere, and about the problems that the dissatisfaction of Asian tourists. But you have to know that between 2013 and 2014, for the first time in a long time, the number of tourist arrivals from abroad decreased by 2.5%, which is completely new for Paris. So we used to be the first ones, we used to be really proud of us, and now there is a real change going on. So I started to make some research and I found about this Paris syndrome disorder. Have you ever heard about it? So it's a disease, it's a real disease experienced by Chinese and Japanese tourists. And it's when the gap between expectations and actual experience is too high and in a bad way. So basically they have this image incredible of Paris, about the romantic city. They come and they are so dissatisfied that when they come back to their country, they get sick, like psychologically. So I was like wondering, what is the perception then of Asian students today? How do they perceive Paris? So here is the conceptual model on which I based the dissertation. It was composed by Eschner and Ritchie in 2003, and it's it looks complicated, but it's not. Basically, you have the attributes I was talking about. You have different kinds of attributes that you can rate. You have functional attributes and psychological attributes. So, for example, you are going to rate the climate, the quality of life, is there enough, for example, shopping facilities or buildings, tourist attractions, and you have this holistic imagery. So it's completely different because when we think about Paris, when we have this image of a city, it's separated in lots of attributes, but at the same time, we do all have a general, like a holistic image of the place. So here is an example of different attributes. So the functional are the tourist activities, attractions, facilities, shopping facilities, historic sites and museums, and you have also all the psychological attributes, which are, for example, the quality of service, the political stability, if you feel safe in this place also. So I found after interesting information about the different factors that influence the formation of destination image. So we all have an image about every destinations in the world that we have heard about. So the two main are the information sources, so all the sources to which you are exposed in your life. And the second are the personal factors, such as your motivations, what pushes or what motivates you to go to a certain place, your vacation experiences, and also all the socioeconomic and demographic characteristics, such as your age, gender, nationality. So you have here three different steps. in which you go through in the formation of the egg, of destination image. So destination image evolves over the time. The first stage is the organic image. So the organic image is the basic image that you have at the beginning without having made any research about the destination. Then you have the induced image. So here is when you start having an interest for the destination. So you can go and check on the internet or go to a travel agency to get more info. And finally, the modified induced image, which is the last stage when you have visited the place and we all compare our expectations with what we live, with the reality. So in the academic literature, I found many information about Paris image in the past. So the French city is described as a shopping mall full of arts and history made by grand personalities. You have famous movies such as The Fabulous Destiny of Amélie Poulain, which shows Montmartre, that is very famous. You have Da Vinci Code with the Louvre, etc. So it's a romantic city, and it has been a romantic city for a long time. And as Vienna, it has strengths and weaknesses. So for the strengths, it's the fact that there is a high number of tourist attractions, nice culture, heritage, a high quality of food, and that it's a very good location to do shopping. But in the weaknesses, you have the language barriers, the fact that Parisian people don't speak English because they can't, or maybe because they're lazy, and the quality of service that is considered as below expectations very often, the feeling of insecurity, and the fact that the city is finally quite expensive. So the methodology, we did an online questionnaire using SurveyMonkey to evaluate this holistic image of Paris, because in the previous studies, it was only the different attributes that were rated. But here, we wanted to have this holistic image, so not only rate different attributes, functional and psychological, but also let the person, the respondents, talk and with his own words, basically. So the goal was to compare the motifs and different perceptions of the functional and psychological attributes. We had 87 Asian students who answered to the questionnaire. 54 had already been to Paris, and 33 had never been to Paris. For us, it was interesting to know and to be able to compare after. So we had different types of questions, closed and open-ended questions. And the questionnaire were separated in three main sections. So the first one was to collect socio-demographic information about the respondents and to understand what characteristics or what information sources, what types of sources influence their perception of a city. The second part were closed-ended questions to rate the relevant attributes that were selected for the research. And the third part were open-ended questions where we would ask them very straightforward questions such as, when I say, what image comes to your mind when I say Paris? So here, we're not going to check all the figures, but it's just to show you, I just calculated means very simply. Here are the different attributes that we have selected for the research that could apply to Paris and that had been used in previous research. Here is the importance of attributes. So I would ask the question, local people speak English. Is it important for you when you go to a place that people speak English? And then I would ask the same question, but for Paris. And finally, you have the comparison between the people who have visited and the people who have not visited Paris. Here you can see the importance performance analysis of Paris. So it shows very in a simple way the different results. So the strengths of the city after the research in the results were that Paris has an attractive culture, which was the case before, and that there is a high number of touristic attractions, that it's still a good place to do shopping, and that the politics are stable. But here we can see that local people speak English, the performance is low, but the importance is low. And in the academic literature, it was said that the performance was high and that it was considered as a weakness for Paris, but here it's not considered as a weakness anymore. Maybe because the students now and the young people have their phone They don't need to ask people, they have the internet everywhere, they can just do everything by themselves. And for the high importance but the low performance, we have the welcoming atmosphere, the safety of the city, and the cleanliness, which are all psychological attributes.